Talks between envoys of the Dalai Lama and Beijing were set to resume at an undisclosed location in mainland China this week after a 15-month hiatus. That's according to the Tibetan government in exile. The talks follow a leadership reshuffle in the Himalayan region and a top-level central government meeting that set out a development blueprint for Tibet and neighbouring Tibetan population regions in the coming decade. The talks will be the 9th round since dialogue started in 2002. As a joint press appearance with President Hu Jintao on November 17th, President Obama called on the central government to resume dialogue. Beijing blamed the Dalai Lama for masterminding the deadly Tibet riots in spring 2008, but the Nobel Peace Prize winner has repeatedly denied the accusations. China's lead climate change negotiator says he's keeping an open attitude as to whether global warming was man-made or due to natural cycles. Xie Jianhua said climate warming was a solid fact, but he said it was important to keep an open mind about whether climate change is a man-made thing or as a result of natural cycles. He was speaking in Delhi at a meeting of envoys from Brazil, China, India and South Africa. They agreed to submit their plans to cut emissions by the end of January. Mr. Xie's comments appeared to surprise the other environment ministers and envoys at a news conference at the end of their two-day meeting. He said it was important to include as many views as possible, to be more scientific and to be more consistent. He was responding to a reporter's question about a controversy over the UN's Climate Science Panel's 2007 assertion that Himalayan glaciers could disappear by 2035. Melamine-tainted milk products have been found on sale again in China, more than a year after thousands of children became ill in a huge safety scandal. Products made by 3 different firms were found to contain melamine and have now been removed from supermarkets in Guizhou province. Melamine is an industrial chemical that can be added to watered-down milk to increase its protein content. 6 children died and 300,000 became ill from tainted milk in 2008. The companies involved in the latest recall blamed the contamination on milk powder they had bought as a raw material to add to their products. 21 people have been convicted over the 2008 scandal, and in November 2009, 2 people were executed for making and selling hundreds of tons of melamine-tainted milk products. China is hoping to close thousands of local government lobbying offices in Beijing to cut down on waste and corruption. Liaison offices representing regional governments have operated in the capital for decades, but their number has skyrocketed in recent years as part of sharpening competition for central government funding. Now the government wants to close the Beijing offices of up to 10,000 county administrations, industrial zones and local government departments over the next 6 months. According to the official magazine Outlook, the offices are widely considered a symbol of bloated bureaucracy and abuse of public resources, but are considered necessary because of China's highly centralized decision-making process. Outlook said an order to close them was being drafted, but gave few other details. Google says it hopes to maintain key operations in China even if its stand against censorship leads it to close its search engine here. The Associated Press reports that the internet giant is negotiating to keep its research centre in China, an advertising sales team and a new mobile phone business as the company navigates the delicate negotiations with the government. Both sides are torn by conflicting objectives. Google says it's no longer willing to go along with the Chinese government's demands for censored search results, but the company still wants access to the country's steadily growing online advertising and mobile phone markets. Chinese leaders are keen to control the flow of information, but they're also believed to want to keep big-name companies like Google in the country to help turn China into a centre of innovation. 5 pro-democracy Hong Kong lawmakers say they'll push ahead with their plan to resign in protest at the slow pace of democratic reform, despite growing opposition from Beijing and its allies. The group said they would quit on Tuesday. It's their hope that the resulting by-election would be a de facto referendum on universal suffrage. At present, only half of the city's legislature is directly elected, while a largely pro-Beijing committee effectively controls the selection of the remainder and appoints the city's chief executive. The Chinese government has said Hong Kong's chief executive could be directly elected by 2017 and the legislature by 2020, but pro-democracy lawmakers want universal suffrage in 2012. Beijing issued a statement earlier this month expressing grave concern over the campaign. It said the referendum was not in line with basic law, which spells out Hong Kong's political system following its return from British to Chinese rule in 1997. About 100 villagers have protested the construction of a garbage incinerator in southern China, saying that residents have already become sick from pollution from another trash-burning facility in the area. Waste disposal is becoming a contentious issue as an increasingly crowded China tries to find new places to dump garbage. Monday's protesters came from the village of Likang, where people have long complained that an incinerator in the area was causing cancer and other illnesses. They were angry that the government had begun building another incinerator in the village in the northern part of the booming city of Guangzhou. An official who observed Monday's protest told the AP that the villagers' complaints were being considered. And in tennis, China's Li Na followed in the footsteps of compatriot Zheng Jie to reach the quarter-finals of the Australian Open women's singles on Monday, beating number 4 seed Caroline Wozniak of Denmark in straight sets. Zheng became the first Chinese player to reach the Australian Open quarter-finals in its 105-year history when she powered past Alona Bondarenko of Ukraine 7-6, 6-4 on Sunday. Li, the number 16 seed in Melbourne, made it a double for China when she won her fourth-round clash in straight sets. Li now faces 6th seed Venus Williams. And that's the BON headlines for now, but we'll be back with more news after this.